You've been sold a version of building habits on social media that straight up doesn't work. Maybe it looks something like this. You see a video of one of your favorite influencers telling you need to be working 12-hour days, you need to be waking up at 5 a.m., you need to only be eating clean. And so what does this motivate you to do? It motivates you to try to become a whole different person overnight. And it looks something like this. You expect yourself to change everything at once, become your final form by Monday, and it looks exciting, but what happens is that it usually collapses. All the habits that you're trying to build, you're not doing them 3 days later. Well, why does this happen? It has nothing to do with how disciplined you are or how lazy you are. I want you to think about it like this. Imagine you see a bodybuilder and his body is insane. Now, do you think it took him a week to get that body? No. What about 1 month? No. What about 3 months? No. And when you have the expectation that it's supposed to take a week, that it's supposed to take, a month or a couple months, what it's doing is it's setting you up for failure, because when the journey isn't like this as you expect it and it's more like this, you think that that's wrong. When in reality, that's exactly how it's supposed to go. And I know that isn't what you want to hear, but nobody's going to tell you the truth. This is what I've learned after studying behavior change, what I've learned after writing a book on a new framework for building habits that actually works, that's sustainable. And what I've learned from all my research on habit formation and behavior change is that there are 4 key principles you need to understand if you want to build habits that actually stick. Principle number 1, I've already made another video on my channel about this, but you need to start with the vision. You can't just build a habit that somebody says is cool online. It needs to be connected to what your dream life actually is. So I'm in the Reinvent app, and this is what my vision looks like. This is a software that you get access to when you join the Reinvention program, where we basically help you build your dream self and your dream life using all of our systems. Now, this is actually what my vision for my dream life looks like. And so I have another video on my channel about this, but basically you define your vision and then you turn that vision into a habit backlog, because your life is not built randomly, it's built in the daily action that you consistently do, and your daily actions are your habits. And so in order to build this vision, I just need to build a whole bunch of different habits, right? Right now it says 41 different habits. I'm not building all these right now, I'm just building 3. Right, so you can only have 5 active habits at a time, because if you're trying to build more than that, it's just too many. But each of these habits, I am building gradually. And by building gradually, I mean I'm building them through phases. So I'm going to make another video on my channel really diving deep into phases. But basically, the mistake that most people make when they're building habits is, let's just say their goal is taking 100 grams of protein per day. They'll start at 100 grams, when in reality, we need to build this through phases. 100 grams might be phase 5. What we need to do is regress the habit back, or simplify the habit into a much easier phase level. And then once we've actually done that habit consistently, then we can increase the next phase level, right? So the phase that I started at was literally just making a protein shake every single day. You might be like, all you have to do is make a protein shake. Yeah, I don't even have to drink it. I just have to make it every single day. You want to start a habit at a level where you're actually passing the yes, maybe, no test. Basically, this helps you figure out which level to start the habit at. So basically ask yourself, do I think that I can stick to this for the next 7 days? Because people will try to build habits that they don't even believe that they can do. Like, for example, let's just say you are trying to build a running habit and you want to be running every single day, and you want to be running 3 miles every single day. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to start at 3 miles, but I'll start at 1 mile. I want you to ask yourself, do you think for the next 7 days that you can run a mile a day? When you ask yourself that question, you'll either answer with yes, you'll answer with maybe, or you'll answer with no. Now, when you're asking yourself this question, you don't need to answer how you think you should answer. Just genuinely think, do I think I could do this? Now, that belief is just a prediction created by the brain, and your brain creates a prediction based on your past behavior. So if you've tried to build this habit in the past, but you failed, you're going to go into building that habit with a lower amount of self-belief. If you've never done this behavior before, you're also going with a lower amount of self-belief. So basically, your brain is creating a prediction. If you're trying to build a habit and you don't even believe you can do it, you're going to be doing a behavior that you don't even think you can do. That level of self-belief is going to make it very difficult to do the habit. So you can see I started at phase 1, but now I'm on phase 2. Basically, every single week I am tracking the habits that I'm doing. So today I did all of my habits. Yesterday I did all of Thursday I didn't finish my protein shake, but basically I'm tracking all my habits every single day, my active habits. And the software is basically totaling my weekly completion rate, right? So basically I'm on track for 89%. On Sunday, when I do my weekly review, I'm going to see what my weekly completion rate is. And this completion rate determines if I'm able to increase a phase level or even add a new habit to the habits that I'm currently building. Like I said before, you can only have 5 active habits at a time. So depending on what my completion rate is, I can either, add a new habit or just increase one of the phase levels. So this is how you actually build habits. Building out a vision, turning that into a long habit backlog, picking 1 to 2 to start with, and regressing them to literally the lowest possible phase level. You use the yes, maybe, no test and ask yourself, do I think that I can stick to this for the next 7 days? If it's a no, you simplify it even more. You want to start your phase level out at a level that you genuinely think that you can do for the next 7 days. If you answer a maybe or a no, it is too big. Your ego isn't gonna like it. Your ego is gonna be like, it needs to be harder. Do not listen to your ego. This is how we actually design behavior change and design our habits in a way that we actually stick to. You track your habits, and at the end of every single week, you do a weekly review. So you basically total up your completion rate. So I'm gonna make a whole entire video on weekly reviews, but based on this completion rate, if your completion rate is 85% or more, then you can either add a new habit at its phase 1, or you can just progress the phase level of one of the current active habits that you have. So this is what actual behavior change and building your life looks like. And it's slower, but this is how you actually build habits that you stick to. Because the reason that you haven't been sticking to habits is because you have no system. You try to change everything at once. You're trying to increase them emotionally instead of based on data. If when we are looking at our weekly completion rate score and making a decision on if we should increase the difficulty of a habit, like the phase level, or add a new habit, we're not making that based on, oh, last week I felt like I did good or whatever. It's based on an actual number. We can literally see our completion rate from the last week. You don't need the software to do this. I used to do it on a whiteboard, but we built the software at reInvent because it's just so much easier to, be tracking habits like this and it just, affect what the score is over here. So one thing that I wanted to note is that, if we look at this habit backlog, let's just say right now there's 38 dormant habits and, as your vision changes, you'll add more and more. So let's just say we have 50 total habits, and then these 50 habits maybe each have 5 phase levels. You're usually going to find 3 to 10 phase levels for habits. That's 250 different increases plus another 50 for when you're actually adding the habits in. So that's 300 different changes, right? Either adding a new habit or increasing a level. And there's 52 weeks in a year, and you're only able to add a new habit or increase a phase level if you are in a push week. There's going to be weeks where you're in a stabilize or repair week. But looking at this math, that's 300, right? 300 different weeks that it would take a minimum to actually build out this dream life that I've defined, right? And so 300 weeks divided by 50, so it's that's 6 years that it would take to build out, all of this. I'm showing you guys what it looks like to actually create sustainable behavior change. And this is different than what everybody else online is telling you. They're telling you can have it instantly. You can change your whole life super fast. But this is what it realistically looks like. And I want you guys to understand the goal is not to get this dream life. The goal is to become the type of person who's taking their life seriously, who's set goals, created a vision, and is taking action towards that vision every single day, right? Because once you reach that vision, the truth is you're probably just going to create a new vision and go towards that. So the goal isn't really as much to get to the vision, it's about the person you become along the journey. And so that is why you want to build habits sustainably through systems and not through emotion. So if you want to join the reinvention program, where we help you install the system and you get access to the reinvent software, and we actually build out your vision, turn it into the habit backlog, and then help you build those habits sustainably, then you can book a free one-on-one call with me below in the description. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.